Well, hi there. So in this practice set, we're going to do one practice problem really related to all the different concepts, and then we're going to do several practice multiple choice questions that are specifically about growth policy. So let's get started. So this first problem is just saying the US economy is below full employment, they're in a recession, and then it's going to ask us to draw first ADAS and label all the following. So we're going to draw that. We have Y, price levels. We always start with AD and SRAS, and that tells us where we currently are. And that's going to be Y1, it tells us, and it's going to be PL1. That's what that one tells us. Now, we are in a recession, so we need an LRAS off to the right-hand side here to show that we are below full employment. Now, it says, assume policymakers take no action and wages are flexible. What's the impact on short-run aggregate supply? Explain and show this change on your graph. Well, SRAS will increase because workers, hopefully we're getting it by this point, I think it's about the 10th time we've done it, workers accept lower wages, and we could say resource costs fall. You could also say cost of production falls, right? It gets cheaper to produce. And that's really why they're telling us prices and wages are flexible, to say that workers are going to accept lower wages. It does want us to show it on our graph. So we're showing that shift to the right, SRAS shifts to the right, and we'll do a little increase in output and a PL2 to go down to there. So we went from here to here. Now it says, what's the impact on employment overall, actual, right? Actual employment. If it just asks you generally employment, it's saying how many people have jobs, right? And we would say that there is an increase because you had more output. Assume instead the government implements a tax incentive to encourage individuals to increase savings for retirement. Draw a correctly labeled graph of the loanable funds market, then show how the real interest rate is affected by this new tax incentive. So this one's a little tricky, if only because I know that some of you are going to think, well, what about if it does this? What about if it does that? This one, I think, if it rewards just keeping it simple, right? The KISS method. So you've got this kind of Q star amount and an I star value in this market. That's the base of the loanable funds market. And it says it's encouraging individuals to increase savings. So therefore, there's supply of loanable funds will increase. And so we would actually shift this supply curve to the right because more people are going to save some money in their retirement accounts. That's going to cause the interest rate to fall and the quantity of money to borrow to go up. Now, the benefit here, the reason why government might want to do that, what's the impact on long-run aggregate supply? This is a good example of a supply-side policy, right? Try to encourage people to save their money to increase the supply of loanable funds. It will increase long-run growth because, right, and we can say the increased savings equals increased supply of loanable funds. Therefore, the real interest rate goes down. Therefore, investment spending rises. More capital formation occurs. Capital formation being new buildings, tools, equipment, machinery, right? All that good stuff. And therefore, more productivity. So this is a link chain of thought that we've been doing since Unit 7. And again, here's an example of how supply-side economics could lead to economic growth rates, right? It's by trying to basically push that LRAS, the long-run aggregate supply curve, to increase it or shift to the right because the more savings will decrease the real interest rate. That decreased interest rate leads to more investment spending on capital equipment, tools, new construction, and that's going to increase productive capacity of the economy and increase our growth rates. So that hopefully helped you with the two practice problems. Let's take a look at the multiple choice. Number one, an increase, let me kind of bend that just a shade, an increase in which of the following would be most likely to increase long-run growth. So in other words, what's going to cause LRAS to increase, right? That's really what this is saying. Social Security pensions, nah. Tariffs on imported consumer goods, nah. Layoffs at government agencies, nope, right? Because this would change C, right? This would make C go up. Let's kind of think about what that would do, right? This XN would make XN go down. Layoffs at government agencies, that's just G changing. Tax cuts to businesses buying capital, D. That's the supply side economics policy, right? If they buy more machines, then we'll increase our productive capacity. Two, a country's infrastructure refers to its public capital equipment. And those are things like highways. So it's capital goods, things that are used to produce other things, but it's the things that are owned by the government. So they could be the highways, they could be the ports, right? If those are owned and operated by the government, if your railway network is, if your electrical grid is operated by the government, or in some ways it often is, those would be public capital goods. Number three, which of the following is least likely to promote economic growth? So again, what's not going to affect LRAS? Investment in tools and machines? No, that would do it. Investment in training of labor? No, that would do it. Increase in consumption? That's not going to actually create it, right? A tax credit for technology, more labor force, all of these would change LRAS, but this one would not. Number four, which of the following policy changes is most likely to promote economic growth? You can see where we're going here. Increase in tariffs? Nope. Decrease in investment tax credits? No, because that's going to make it worse. You would want more. Decrease in taxes on foreign capital in financial inflows. An increase in taxes on that? No, that's actually going to reduce that. Decrease in tuition fees at public colleges? That would do it, right? That would, because productivity would go up. So kind of looking for the thing that's either going to affect resource costs or the thing that's going to affect productivity. That's really what we're looking for. Number five, in the long run, government policies that promote development of technology will have which of the following? Well, if you're talking about kind of widespread applications and its technology, that would be a positive or an increase in aggregate supply. And so we're ruling out A and B. We're going to rule out the AD one because it's not about demand. Positive supply shock and lower price levels, not lower economic growth. It would actually speed up economic growth. Number six, which of the following is the best example of a policy that will increase economic growth? Not benefits. That's just going to change C. Investment in energy efficient technology, B. That would do it. These other ones, again, C, and this would actually slow down productivity growth rather than increase it. So again, this one is just opposite of what you want to do. Seven, which of the following policy changes will most likely shift the LRAS to the right? What will cause growth? Not an income and tax change, not really change in money supply. That's going to change C and I. This is going to change C and I. Increase in the government budget deficit financed by borrowing. That's just going to change G, maybe even slow economic growth rate. An increase in government spending on education. Again, similar answer, but this one is productivity increased, right? These are just the opposites of each other if you're thinking about funding education. Number eight, an increase in which of the following is most likely to promote economic growth? An increase in investment tax credits. So this is a tax cut, right? So thinking about a tax credit as a tax cut. Number nine, an increase in which of the following is most likely to increase employment and promote long-run growth? Spending on education, that would probably do it. Transfers, no, that won't do growth. No. Just this one, because initially G increases and then productivity increases in the long run. So you get that long run growth. So generally, there's a lot of different pathways to getting to that long run growth, right? You could take the pathway of going down saying, let's do more government spending on infrastructure and training and education. You go down the pathway of saying, let's increase investment spending by doing tax cuts that are targeted at trying to get people to save more money, or tax cuts that are designed to get people to buy more tools and equipment and to do more construction. So there are lots of supply side economics policies out there. They're not just limited to this simple idea of what is sometimes called trickle down economics. That is really not what supply side economics is about. It's about what are the different things we can do to increase the supply side, hence the name, of aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Hopefully this helped you a little bit with growth policy. I'll see you next time.